Perfect. All right. So, Miss Leah, how are you today?
So good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Well, now that we've got all that kind of fixed, well, a little bit of that fixed.
Right.
So, for everybody that's joining us, you get everything set up like you think you should. It's all ready to go. We ran test runs on it, and all of a sudden, the technology just doesn't work. It just falls apart. It's Murphy's Law, right?
That's right.
Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's life. It's life.
It is, but it's awesome because we get away with it as long
right.
as we look at it on the right side. Just got to find the solution. But thank you for your patience this morning with that. I can't thank you enough. So Leah, so tell me, we're sitting here talking about children, we're talking about life, we're talking about where we are. Tell me a little bit about yours. Tell our listeners a little bit about you and where you're from. And I know I've got your bio right here, but I'll let you tell us a little bit first.
All right. Well, I'm so happy to be here. It's exciting to catch up with you. I was thrilled to see that you're doing this. So I love it. I love it. You're gonna crush it. I've no doubt. I'm in the Midwest. I'm in Iowa. I have 3 boys, so I'm a boy mom for sure. And I think the good Lord knew what he was doing, because I think he was like, a girl, no, she doesn't do drama very well. Let's just give her boys and just keep her busy. She does.
Boys have some type of drama in there,
Yeah, they do, but it's like I never really loved all the nitpicking and the meanness and the days and days and weeks on end of being mad at somebody. My boys will have a falling out with their friend at lunch or at recess, and they'll tell me about it, and I'm like, well, is it resolved? They're like, yeah, next class, Mom. I'm like, okay, all right,
move on.
Perfect. We're moving on.
Great.
So I have 3 boys. I have a beautiful Saint Bernadoodle who was supposed to be a mini, but it's not so mini. But
now, how does that happen? You go in, you buy a mini, and it turns out not to be one.
Well, it's life, right?
Did you get your money back?
No, I kept him. I'm like, you know what? I'll take you. Well, you just don't know. And then you fall in love with them, and you're like, you know what? You were always supposed to be this size, right? So, because
That's
when we
awesome.
resist reality, we lose.
Yep.
So I have an amazing husband who and
yes.
you can confirm this bias of mine.
He is an awesome gentleman. He is. Yeah. Oh, he really is. The two of you, and I got to say, when I first met y'all through the real estate company back when, and we've only we've only been around each other physically a few times when you come into town through that company. I think we were both there at the same time for maybe a year at most, maybe a year at most.
Most. Yeah.
So it was just when you were coming in to set up the one branch, but every time you and he would show up, it was just this energy about the two of you. The way that you both work together, number one, and just the charisma and the character and just the energy that you exude between the two of you as a couple is it's magnetic. It really is. So I got to give that to you guys. I really do. It's great.
Yeah, I'm super lucky. And what's equally probably is true, maybe he's not here to defend himself, is I think he would think that he was. And as long as we continue to both think that we're the luckier ones, right? We'll just continue to support and love and encourage and just get through this life. There's nobody else I'd want to live with it. So yeah, awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's him. And a couple years ago, I decided to quit corporate and step into coaching. I'd always done it in some realm. I always had a corporate job that I would say out loud, and I believed my own lie that I'm doing this because it enables me to do what I love.
Yeah.
And my mom flat out just called me out on it, and it took her a while, but she's just like, that's just crap. It is just crap. You're staying in your corporate job and you're making excuses because you're afraid of what it would mean if you failed. Yeah.
Yep. How true.
Right. And what if failing wasn't an option for you? Then what would you do?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I would be like, well, duh, I would quit my corporate job in an instant and do what I love to do. Right. And she's like, then do that. So I didn't get to do it while she was alive. She passed away. And when she passed, I used her belief in me to inspire what it is that I knew that I wanted to do. And more importantly, the work that I know that she would want me to do. So I'm sure she's here and she's super excited that I actually for one time listened to her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't mind my asking, how long ago was that?
2 years.
2 years ago. So you've been on this new journey now for about 2 years.
Yep.
And a special journey it is. So why life coaching? Why this path? What brought you to this?
So I had always, like I said, I'd always been coaching in some facet. I had a gym, I did some personal training, I did some marathon coaching. And what happened?
No, let's go back real fast. So at one point in time, not only have you been in real estate, but you owned a gym.
Yep.
Now, was this a gym? Was it more of a specialized gym? Well, I mean, what kind? Because my wife and I are in fitness now, so I got to ask.
I love it. It was a niche gym. That's what I'll call it.
Okay.
It was, and I did all the programming for it. It was kind of a blend between HIIT training, high impact interval training, and some strength and conditioning, along with some agility, mobility, and yoga. And so it was kind of like this mismatch of, Mondays was a metabolic day, Tuesday was a kind of a HIIT day, Wednesday was more of like a recovery mindset yoga day, Thursday was another conditioning day, and Friday was a strength, flexibility, mobility day, and Saturday was just like a horrendous, like, not only was the workout tough, but you really had to come with the right mindset, because I on purpose made it challenging. I on purpose made it so that you might not be able to finish it on purpose, right? Because
so even then, that was still a part of your practice, that life coaching piece, that I'm going to push you to show you that you can do something that you didn't think you could do before.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I loved it. And then circumstances in my life kind of shifted me out of that space. But I always did some sort of coaching, whether it was weight loss or, like I said, marathon. And here's the thing that had me shift in my coaching strategy was I was teaching and coaching people to run marathons, right? And so dependent on, of course, the person, it was an individual plan, but it still was a blueprint. It showed them exactly, if you just do this, I will get you to the start line and I'll get you to the finish line, right? We're not going to get injured here. I'm going to get you to the start and get you to the finish. And 50% of the time, they would actually get to the start and get to the finish. The other 50% of the time, they might not even make it to the start, or they might make it to the start and not finish it. And the reason why kept me up at night, why is it that people commit or say they want to do something that they don't do? Why is it? Right? Like, you've got a blueprint, you know what to do. Like, I think all of us, and I'm sure your listenership and the world, anything that you want to do, there is a resource to figure out how to do it.
Well, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, there's no excuse to not try to figure something out with the internet, and there's so many DIY. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I know my family, we're a carpenter and a plumber's like dream come true when it comes to DIY. We do the DIY and then we got to call everybody and we made it worse. So we got to pay them more, so I get it, but the resources are out there, right? They are.
Right. And so I was like, okay, then it's not about what we're doing. And what I call the A line of my model. It's not about the action that we take. We don't do what we know. So then what do we do? And that made me on this goose egg hunt for learning more about the science of neuroplasticity and neuroscience. And it got me smack into a PhD program talking about and learning about quantum medicine and quantum coaching and placebo effects and all of the nerd stuff, as my boys would call it, to really understand the science of our fabulous but very misguided brains.
No, it's amazing they may call it nerd stuff, but no matter what field they go into down the line, that nerd stuff will come in very, very handy.
Yes. Yes.
It
Yes.
definitely will. So okay. So now you went through all that. You've now started your own practice, and you've developed your own model in theory. Because one of the things that you haven't mentioned, which you probably should have, and I've got it right here in front of me that you sent over, is that and let me go down here. Let me find this. The personal development journey, along with multiple certifications and degrees in cognitive behavioral therapy, neurolinguistics programming, hypnosis, quantum science, metacognition and metaphysics, and a PhD programming. Wow. Wow. So you set off on this journey to better other people, and in so doing, I mean, obviously, better yourself along the way. This is Megan. I mean, it's a laundry list of things that you've just driven into your brain to help others. Through all of this in your practices in your previous life, you've now come up with your own theory. You've come up with your own behavioral workings for folks and therapies. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I have taken different bits and pieces from Brooke Castillo's life coaching school. So I want to give credit where credit is due.
Mhm.
I have taken like courses from Joe Dispenza, and
Mhm.
so and Bruce Lipton and the Amit Goswamis of the world and the Daniel Amens of the world, like all really big players in this neuroscience space. And I wanted to try to demystify it. I wanted to try to make it so that it was really applicable, so that people could actually have something that they could model. I mean,
Yeah.
I can coach people all day long, but I want them to have a tool to be able to help them self-coach themselves through really
Mhm.
any issue that they might be going through.
Yeah.
And so that they don't always need, I always like to think about self-coaching as, you clean the house, right? And you know how to do that. But when somebody, spills red wine on your white couch, you're going to need the cleaners, right? And that's where I come in. But if I can teach people how to help navigate through the situations of our life and do so in a way that allows them some more awareness and empowerment, I'm all in for that. All in for that.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit more. So how does it work? Like
Okay.
where's the base? So you mentioned earlier the A-framing, the very
Yeah.
like the
Okay.
beginning stages.
Okay.
So let's
So
get a little bit more into. I want to know a
okay.
little bit more about this.
I'm going to geek out on you. Can I use my
Geek out
board?
on me. That's what we're here for. We are here
Okay.
to geek out. Oh, look, you got the whiteboard. I love this. I love this.
I have to.
Hit me.
Okay.
Love it.
So it's an acronym and it spells out STEER, right? And
Okay.
so it's really important that a couple of things before I talk about the model. Each of these letters, when I do workshops, I talk about each letter for a day, and I will not bore your listenership with all of it. So I'm going to be really like high level on this, but I know they're smart people. So we're going to start with the S.
Okay.
That's the first letter. And the S is for situation, circumstance. Right. I'll use the words interchangeably. And what I mean by that is it's anything that happens outside of you. This is why this line is drawn. So okay. It's your kids, it's your in-laws, it's your spouse, it's your colleagues, it's your boss, it's where you live, it's your car, it's your body, it's your weight. It's anything that is outside of yourself. And we have been conditioned to believe that the situation is what creates our suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. And I'm going to teach you why that's not even true, and it's not even possible.
It's kind of like that woe is me victim mentality.
Yes. Right. So
it's everything but me.
It's everything but me.
Yeah.
But you want it to be you. I teach all of my clients, you want it to be your fault because you're the only person that can fix it. Right? Absolutely. And if it's not your fault, then you have to leave it to the agency of everybody else who might not be as capable. Okay. So the situation, that's the S. Okay. The other big thing is the S, my friends, neutral. And a lot of people will challenge me on this. They'll be like, my mother-in-law is not neutral, right? My wife is not neutral. My kids are not neutral. I promise you they're neutral until you give them meaning with your T. Okay. And the T is thoughts.
Okay.
Now I'll give you just a little bit of science, not too much. We have between 40 to 60,000 thoughts in any given day, you guys. Crazy. And 95% of them are from our unconscious programming. 95%, which means that if you feel like you're living in Groundhog's Day, you are. Because the only 5% is the intentional, conscious choice of our thoughts. And so we operate from our past, all of our experiences of the past. And if we don't break that cycle, our future will be incredibly predictable. Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. So our thoughts give meaning to the S. Here's a couple of other things about the T that are super
The
important.
thoughts give it power. The thoughts, they give your situation power. Kind of like the 99% of the problems you think you have are actually made up in your head.
100%.
Kind of like that thought.
Of course, it is that. The only problem is your thought. That's the only problem to ever solve for, is our thinking brain. Okay. The other thing about our thoughts is they're not facts. They're not, and they're optional. We think that our thoughts are true. We think that our thoughts, and I'm saying they're valid. Absolutely. They're valid based on our past experiences or whatever, but they're still optional, and they're still not any more true. Even if we have a lot of evidence, right? It just means that we have more proof.
Yeah.
Doesn't make them any more true.
Absolutely.
And so what's really important to understand is, and I'm completely oversimplifying here, but the brain has two jobs, really. One, to make sure you're alive, and two, to prove you right. Right? So it wants your thoughts to be true. So you have to be careful of what you're thinking about. And so I call myself a thought coach, because I really want you to start thinking about what you think about, because whatever it is that you're thinking about, your brain will go to work to prove it right.
All right, so I'm gonna compare this to, because I don't, some of our listenership may be younger, so we got a lot of social media nowadays. Everybody's on social media now. So okay, so I'm gonna compare this to the TikTok algorithms.
Okay.
The TikTok algorithms, because what? If you jump on TikTok and you find something that interests you, it could be anything. Let's say you're having a great day and you scroll on something and it's all about, the flowers are out to bloom and you're like, wow, this is really nice. This goes along with my great day. Well, TikTok's going to pick up on that, and it's going to keep throwing you really positive messages, throwing you things that, make you feel good, because that's what you're registering right there. That's what you put into it. But it can also go the opposite direction. It's also, oh, well, if you're having doubts about yourself and you see something come up about mental health or ADHD or about it could be anything, your children, whatever it may be, right, and you stop and you watch that for a second, well, it picks up on that, and then all of a sudden it starts flooding you with that. It takes you down a rabbit hole, kind of like the thoughts in your situation. It's constantly whatever you continue to think of is what you're programming yourself with.
100%. And I love the analogy. I'm going to borrow it.
Please do. Please do.
Brilliant.
I've been spending time on social media lately, so sorry. I've had to.
It's so true. It's so true. If I told you not to see a yellow school bus today, you would. You would see it all day long, because your eyes see what your brain looks for. And that is true with relationships with people, and those quote unquote difficult people that you think are in your life, and they're difficult and they're challenging. It's because you're looking for ways that they're difficult and challenging so you can be right by it. And so then the question is, would you rather be right or connected to the person?
And how many relationships are probably destroyed by that?
Too many.
Absolutely. And I mean, and you can look at relationships on a personal level. You could look at business relationships. You could look at people in leadership positions that don't see it that way, that lose that connection and that respect. I mean, that's huge.
It's huge. And our kids, when I was first learning this work, I have a 15-year-old who wasn't 15-year-old at the time. He was probably, but in my head, he was challenging. In my head, he was difficult. And the whole family would tell you so. And just so you know, just because everybody thinks it's true doesn't make it any more true. Again, it just means you have lots of evidence. And so I was like, God, if this is true, if this does work, then if I were to put on my detective hat and look for ways that he wasn't challenging, in ways that he didn't push boundaries, what would I find? And this is what I found, that Logan is actually not even my most challenging child. It's just that my brain wanted to prove me right. And so I found every little thing that he did that pushed my buttons.
Yep.
We don't have buttons, by the way. So
we don't have buttons.
No one has buttons, right? And we're not falling off wagons because there are no wagons. Anyway, back to Logan. When I started to look at him for the son that he was, without this identity of being challenging,
Yep.
wow, it transformed our relationship, because what I saw him was this huge-hearted, disciplined spirit who didn't care what anybody thought about him. And that pushed up against the buttons that I don't have, because I actually do care. I care to a fault about what people might think about me and what people might say about me. And so
interestingly enough, because, and you had in your bio that you sent over, and I wasn't even aware of what this was. I have to admit, I had to go look it up, that you're Enneagram type 3.
Mhm.
You put that in your, and I thought it was amazing that you actually put that in your bio, in your extended bio. Like this, just straight up, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. And for those listening, you know, folks out there, it's Enneagram type 3 is the performer. Identify with accomplishments and success. Image drives needs. Approval and acceptance based on performance. Highly competitive. Like, talk about self-awareness.
Yeah.
Talk about.
Well,
I mean, sorry,
so
I kind of threw us off track there, but as soon as you said that, I was like, so the self-awareness is I mean, it blows me away. So please.
Well, I didn't always used to have it, clearly. Like it was something that I had to work on, because I, as a former people pleaser, and still a little bit, I was anybody that anybody wanted me to be.
Yeah.
And when people were ask me how my day was, or, you know, what was going on, I was always just fine, because fine just felt more accurate than really telling them that I wasn't. And because there was a part of me that really didn't feel like I mattered. And so I had to do a lot of coaching to clean all that up. I mean, my dad left me when I was 8 years old. I made his non-return mean that I wasn't lovable or worthy. I mean, if your own dad can't love you, who can, kind of business. And I had to clean that up. And then my brother has special needs. And so when I was growing up, he's 4 years older than me, my needs and what I was feeling did not matter, because it was all so small and pale in comparison to what my brother needed and the concerns that my mom, as a single mom, had to deal with him. So I blew past my life, finding all of it away, not really ever experiencing or complaining or anything. I was just fine. And I was a pretend fine and a fake fine, which made me just try to be anybody. And when you try to be something that you're not, for everyone, you become no one to everyone. So the self-awareness piece is key, and really trying to figure out, like, I have to still check myself, like when I'm thinking about how I'm feeling, and if fine comes up, I have to be like, all right, girl, is this a fake fine or is this a real fine? Like, truly, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's that. And self-awareness is the gateway. It's the first principle to all the stuff that I teach, with regards to personal development, that gets you to self-mastery and then ultimately social impact. So
Thank you.
yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
that's our thoughts, my friend.
Those are thoughts. Yes.
Are we ready for the next letter?
We are. And we are on about a 10-minute limit. So we've got about 10 minutes to bust through the rest. And then I'm going to invite you to come back with me another time so we can delve even further into this.
Let's do it. E, emotions. Okay. So as I was just telling you, fine would go in the E line. Okay. Your thoughts create your feelings. This is why I was saying the situation can't make you feel anything.
Okay.
It's not true. It's not possible. If you were brain dead, right, you wouldn't give any meaning to the situation, and therefore you would not have any sort of feeling. Your thoughts create chemicals in the brain that create an emotion. Emotions are vibrations in the body. That's it. That's all they are. And yet they're everything. They're the reason why we don't do or do what we want to do or we don't want to do. And yet there's no feeling school. Nobody talks about feelings.
But yeah.
Right. And yet they are the success maker. The secret to success, feelings. Right. If I'm going to live my best life, then I'm going to have to learn to feel bored. I'm going to have to learn to feel frustrated and disappointed and scared. Right. Because if I'm not willing to do that, my life will suck.
True. Absolutely. I mean, God, and the emotions are such a huge part of it. I was having that conversation with my wife the other night about thoughts and just memories, and how memories have such emotions that are attached to them, and how that's what guides us, right? I mean, that's really the foundation of what we do moving forward. Those emotions that drive us to go, oh, don't touch that stove, it's too hot, or
Yes.
oh, red flag in the person that you're thinking about dating. Don't do that again. Whatever it may be. But those memories contain those emotions.
Yeah, they get locked into the metaphysical body. Like emotions are the language of the body. They're the language of our organs. For another day. But emotions aren't dictators. We think they are. We think they dictate how we should show up and react, but they're not. They're indicators. They're indicators that there's something within us that needs healed, or that needs to be felt, or that needs to be healed or nourished. But so often we use our emotions as a way to project our feelings onto other people, and we're missing the gift when we do that. Okay. This is my A line.
A line.
This is where I used to coach, my friends. It doesn't work.
Okay. Doesn't work there.
Doesn't work there, because like I was saying, I could tell you exactly what to do, right? And if you're not thinking about it right, and if you're not feeling about it right, you're not going to show up and do what is required of you here in the A line. So emotions fuel literally everything that you do or you don't do. They are the drivers. They are the force for how we show up in our A line. Okay. And in our A line, there's a lot of things that we do. We distract ourselves. We buffer. We shop when we're bored. We eat when we're bored. That's why I was saying, if we could just learn to all have a little boredom tolerance, we would probably be thinner and more wealthy, and actually be more and better connected with humanities, because we would pick up a phone and call somebody instead of go to our pantry and eat Oreos. Just saying.
So true.
So true. So the A, the last letter is R, and that's our results. Okay. And this is what I'm going to offer you guys. Your results will always, I've never had somebody, so if you want to challenge me on this, he'll give you my number. Results are always proof of your original thought. Always. You can tell me when I do these workshops for corporations, you can tell me what you're thinking, right? And I will tell you what your results are. Or you can tell me what your results are in your company, or in your personal, or in your professional life. And I'll tell you what you're thinking, what your mindset is, and how it is that you're being, with your T and your E as an identity, right? So you got to be careful with the identities that you offer up, right? Like the biggest struggle that I have, for example, with helping people to stop smoking, is to stop identifying as a smoker.
Yeah.
Right. So what are we identifying? Right. Again, because your brain will prove you right.
Absolutely. It's got to be that conscious decision. You wake up one day and you go, I'm done. That's not me. And you stop. And you stop.
And you stop. And you redirect, right? And so when I do this type of model work, and we probably don't have enough time to do an example, but maybe next time,
I'm definitely bringing you back on. And we're going to make sure that we have more than 40, 45 minutes on this.
I draw a line, because remember I was telling you, 95% of our thoughts, our default brain. The left side of the board is how we operate unless we intentionalize it. So what the work that I do is we do model mastery, right? We try to figure out where are you operating from on this side of the board, and what you want to be operating from. And the beautiful thing is you can literally hijack it anywhere you want. Do you want to feel better? Do you want to have a different thought around it? Do you want to show up better in your A line? Or do you want X, Y, or Z results? And then we reverse engineer the model, and we create a framework and a path and some sort of tangible habits that you can start doing. Because really all this side is a memorized model is just a habit.
Absolutely. And in 21 days to make or break a habit, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's consistency.
Consistency.
It's all about consistency. Awesome. So Leah, and unfortunately, and I hate to do it that our time is running out. I really do, because I do want to have you back on and I do want us to keep going, because there's so many more things that I know that we could talk for hours on this stuff and start to break our days and days and break it down into how it fits into, all aspects of life. So as we walk away from all of this, what's the one main thing that you want to leave everybody with, that you want people to remember?
Oh man, the potential that you have is greater than you can possibly fathom for yourself. And I just want you to consider that there is way more, and not because you're not enough as it is, right? But step into the enoughness that you are to become whoever it is that you want to be.
And as you put it in your mini abbreviated bio to me, that you're a believer in the infinite potential of humanity. Which I think sums it up beautifully. So
I love
Leah,
it. Yeah, thank you for bringing the full circle there. Yeah,
absolutely. No, thank you so much for joining me today. Leah, tell us real fast, what is the name of your podcast? Where can we find you?
The Becoming You Show. Leah Roling. You can just type in Leah Roling. You can find me there.
Roling.
Yes, 1 L. Or you can look me up at my website at www.leahroling.com.
Awesome. And I will also have all the information for our listenership in the comments down below. So please stay tuned. This is our first episode. Thank you again, Leah, for joining me of That Bald Guy. So until next time, we will see you then. Leah, tell your family I said hello. It was a pleasure to see you.
And likewise.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.